Hello, my name is Richard Torres. I have been wanting to record and post something for many a year, but I've been having trouble doing so, whether deciding where I want to stream and if I wanted to. Even now, I feel like now is not the best time, but what time is best if not now? So I'm going to be making recordings. This will be my first one. I'm just going to be reading the Gods of Eden and maybe talking about it a little bit, giving me my own opinion so I can rewatch it maybe in the future and learn and reflect. So in these type of times, I struggle a lot with maintaining and consistency. Not going back into a way that prevents me from doing this. So I guess with that being said, this is The Gods of Eden by Mr. William Bramley. I'm already on page 67. And we've currently passed 4 chapters. He's mentioned everything from today, current day, back before Egypt, mentioning Zacharias Sitchin a lot of the Anunnaki. We're here because we needed to harvest resources and materials, and people didn't want to do it, they didn't want to do it, so they made us, and this, and that's kind of what I've gotten to. Right now I'm at the point where we're at Egypt and the custodial gods, which are like all the gods that are based off of everything else, whatever, in this story, we'll say. Because I love stories, I love history, and I love God. Those are some things about me that I enjoy. I just realized my hair, I was like midway taking it down and I stopped. What made me get interested into these type of things? Very lucky to have experienced certain things when I did, and very lucky to have been in the mindset I was when experiencing those physical things. So it all kind of intermingled all at once into what many call enlightenment, revelations. People receive these, everyday humans, we all receive these type of things. It's just holding on to them, remembering them, self-discovery, remembering the self, and ultimately knowing God is alive and well and always with you. So with that being said, I'm just going to read this. It's a story from William Bramley, my first time. I've enjoyed it so far, and can't wait to continue, which we will do now. Okay, page 67. The first temple built, so it says San Jose, California, because that's where so we're learning about the Brotherhood of Ancient Egypt, Brotherhood of the Snake, which was initially a good cult that wanted us to prosper for ourselves, led by a person named Ea. Destroyed basically instantly, just like how journalists today, Michael Hastings, Milton William Cooper, Virginia Joffre, Suchir Balaji, John Barnett, many others. These are just the most recent. Charlie Kirk, I guess. He's more political figure than more of a journalist, but People like that, God's children, there's a battle of once you realize God is alive and well, and you listen to God, and God says, we are not perfect. We as humans, we will never be God. We will never be as good as God. We all have our demons, and we all fight them every day. We start off pure as children, but being tainted by fellow humans who have grown up and who have suffered, from those other humans who have also suffered. It's just a prolonged suffering. We think it's only been, the 4 years of whoever is the next president, but in reality, it's been like 4,000 years. So, or longer. So it's just, they say in the mystery schools too, I'm just reading that there is levels to it in order to, which it started off good, which means that, or introduced you to parts of the whole book, of the whole story, but in small increments. So when you were able to understand that and reflect that back to the person teaching you, so the person would be able to be like, yeah, I see you, I know that you are good, or I know that you're good for this level, you can go on to the next and learn about what's next for you. Self-revelation, what you want to do for your life, what you want to do before death, all for you, because we all have our own unique plan. We're all so unique. We want to be different. We want to be the stars of the show, our own show. In reality, you are exactly the star of your own show. Life is a movie. Life is a video game. You are the player. What you do decides how the game goes for you. So the matrix, the bubble, the social bubbles, all those things, the deluge, the demiurge. It's all human made. It's all human thought of. First time I read it, in my opinion, I knew it was all human made. Like none of this could have been made from God, because why would they mentioned about aliens and whatnot in this book about why aliens haven't reached out to us or approached us. It's like, why would we reach out to a group of chimpanzees or a group of lower intelligent beings that we believe, if we believe that they deserve it or whatever, we connect with ants. We learn how to telepath, I don't know how to, it's just, if that's what God is, then the higher power is, then I know that I know nothing. You know that you know nothing. That is what the ultimate humility that brings the ego death, which brings enlightenment, which brings where we are here today. Okay, let me start. So, and I started by saying Jose, California. Okay, first two words. Let's start now. The first temple built for use by the mystery schools was erected by Pharaoh Cheops inside those temple walls. Spiritual knowledge underwent probably not gonna do that every time. Underwent deterioration, which caused pharaohs to mummify their bodies and bury wooden boats. Period. According to old Egyptian lore, the distorted teachings of the mystery schools were created by the great teacher, Ra, an important custodial god. God, in quotations, because none of them are gods. They're just a higher intelligent life form compared to us, just like we are in higher intelligent life forms compared to whales or monkeys or every other life form, that intelligent, semi-intelligent sapient life forms that are on here as well, that we share the planet with. I just wanted to say that because Ra, an important custodial god, he probably is. But they also mentioned there's over 2,000 custodial gods. So the mystery schools not only twisted spiritual knowledge, they greatly restricted public access to any theological truths still surviving. Only the pharaohs, priests, and a few others deemed worthy were accepted into the schools. Initiates were required to take solemn vows never to reveal to any outsider the secret wisdom they were taught. Students were threatened with dire consequences if they broke the vow. These restrictions were reportedly established to prevent misuse of high-level knowledge by those who might degrade that knowledge or use it harmfully. While this is a legitimate reason to develop safeguards, the restrictions imposed by the mystery schools went far beyond simple security. Entire social and occupational groups were denied membership. The vast majority of the human population had no hope of entering the schools. So I didn't know about entire social and occupational groups were denied membership. And that, one of my favorite people in the world, how I've learned to, besides Alan Watts and others, is Helena Blavatsky. And she talked about Indo-Aryans being the next part, and they are derived from this area that we're talking about, Sumer and East Asia and all of that area, Eastern Europe, I guess, or Asia, Western Asia, whatever. Sorry, let me just get back to what I was trying to, entire social and occupational groups were denied membership. So that makes me feel like, she mentioned a thing, but she kind of was like a race, a specific Indo-Aryans, not other, and she deemed like Denisovians or people in East Asia like a different tier, like a caste, spiritual caste tier. And I never sat well with that. I don't think that was what is true. She lived during British Raj days, which was only like 100 or so years ago. And during that time, she saw so much more every day. And, obviously they said she was spiritually a medium and whatnot. She was able to contact whatever. But basically, in the future, we're all going to be a little bit more caramel, because we're all going to be intermixing more, just because those who want to hold and maintain some type of purity remind me of what Hitler's downfall was. Another thing about that, I probably shouldn't even say the word because that's probably going to be a problem in the video, but whatever. You have to ask yourself this one question when regarding that period of time with those specific people, specifically that person, and others during, obviously. But how is someone able to convince a whole entire country of this particular ideology, government, basically turning the entire worldview upside down based off of one human being and his team, his group? How was he able to convince X amount of millions of people that lived in Germany and have lived in Germany that entire time to follow this one thing for him, literally going against the world agenda, going against everybody else around them, all because of this ideology and these concepts? That's a very modern, if you're thinking from the very beginning, we've been, conquered or tricked or duped in these ways. That's a very recent time in our whole entire lifetimes of just the cycle continuing. And you notice a lot of people and a lot of history mentions cycles and how we repeat history and yada yada yada. That is part of it. So I liked what somebody said. I forget what, but basically, I forget where I read it, probably from the Corpus Hermeticum, Divine Pomander and whatnot by Hermes Trismegistus. It said something about always keep staying fluid, always staying light, never, like I mentioned before, I know that I know nothing. Never commit yourself to one thing, feeling that you know everything about it, because you then condemn yourself to restarting here, reincarnating here, because you're going to die with that. Sorry, I'm trying to figure an example, but there's many. I just can't think of it right now. I apologize. But just not staying tied to one ideology from 14 years old or from when you begin consciousness and you start hearing from other people until 80 years old, 88, and you kind of realize, oh God, what have I done? Or maybe I should have done that differently or this differently or that differently. And then all of a sudden you're reincarnated, having to restart again the process in order to maybe this time you will discover self-discovery. And, me, that's why I mentioned at the very beginning, I got very lucky, and I thank God, and I think the path that God put me on to be able to be here at this very moment, so only not even 2 paragraphs in, 15 minutes. Yeah. Hey, good luck trying to have me watch react to a YouTube video. We're going to be here for 6 hours. The mystery schools not only twisted spiritual knowledge. Oh, I already read that. Sorry. While this is a legitimate reason to develop safeguards, the restrictions imposed by the mystery schools, which were basically the parent company of the Brotherhood of the Snake in this story, which was the parent company of the custodians, of Ea, the good custodian, who was in bipartisan, came to be because of the custodians, the 2,000 other custodians, the 19,000 other custodians who wanted human domination, who see us as ants, who see us as cattle, who see us as cows, how we view cows or animals that we eat or don't think about, they view us as this. So, yes. So while this is a legitimate reason to develop safeguards, talking about the different levels of the mystery schools in order to not overwhelm somebody who's not ready. The restrictions imposed by the mystery schools went far beyond simple security. Entire social and occupational groups were denied membership. Yep. The vast majority of the human population had no hope of entering the schools. I already read all this. That's why. Oh, I finished it. Sorry, I'm tripping. And this little bottom thing. Rosicrucianism is one of the mystical school systems which arose out of Brotherhood teachings. Dr. Lewis's Rosicrucian order is called the Ancient and Mystical Order Rosicrucius, AMORC, for brevity. AMORC, was founded in the early 1900s. It is best known today for the popular Egyptian museum it owns and operates in San Jose, California. Okay, so maybe you can go visit that if you're in San Jose, California. That's pretty cool. There's another American Rosicrucian order headquartered in Quakertown, Pennsylvania. Uh-oh, you've heard of Quakers. I don't really know much about them. I'd have to do research on them. But I remember hearing of Quakers from like Europe and it's to America. I don't know. It's, same with like the Jacobites, all types of crazy. Anyways, Quakertown, Pennsylvania is called the Fraternity of the Rosy Cross, or the Rosicrucian Fraternity in America. The Rosicrucian Fraternity in Quakertown does not recognize AMORC as a valid Rosicrucian body. In the 1930s and 1940s, R. Swinburne Clymer, Supreme Grand Master of the Rosicrucian Fraternity in Quakertown, published a number of writings denouncing AMORC. Dr. Clymer and Dr. Lewis have each claimed that his organization is the true Rosicrucian system. In this book, I have utilized the extensive historical research of both Dr. Clymer and Dr. Lewis when I cite either of them by name as a source of historical information. I'm not taking sides in their controversy. Interesting. Okay, so there's a little divide of if this guy who I'm reading from is even receiving real knowledge or if it's some type of made-up knowledge, because they're both claiming, So the things I said earlier about the knowledge and mystery schools and all about the Egypt and whatnot was from Dr. H. Spencer Lewis, founder of the Rosicrucian Order headquartered in San Jose, California. So whatever Dr. Clymer says might be a little different. I'd recommend taking a look at that. And this is why I'm glad I recorded. So either I or somebody else, because I'll be posting these hopefully as much as I can online, and we'll see what happens there. But not expecting much in terms of this, because this is just something a little desperate for in terms of getting something out, because November 5th, 2025. And I feel like stuff is coming very quickly, and it's going to get a lot weirder, as the great Terrence McKenna once said, next year, 2026. And I'm hoping by that time, some stuff will get figured out that I currently, in today's time, I'm not sure. So we'll see. Surviving spiritual knowledge was therefore severely limited. The biblical revolving sword preventing access to the tree of knowledge was being put into place by those who ran the mystery schools. The mystery schools caused spiritual knowledge to evaporate in another way. The schools forbade its members from physically recording the school's most advanced teachings. Initiates were required to relay the information orally. There is no faster way to lose knowledge than to forbid its being written down. Facts. Which keeps me in mind to the next point, where books are, becoming obsolete, and we're going to technology, and now we're going to AI a lot more as well. Web3, decentralized providence is the next step to what we need to do as God's children to unite and be able to finally stop people from writing books like these and start writing about good futures. So we don't have to worry about what's been controlled the entire time, what's this and that. No, we're just like, we're doing something differently. We're going to make it happen so we can show other generations after us that it can happen. And you just need to unite together. So, as humanity. Preventing access to tree knowledge was caused spiritual knowledge to evaporate in another way. The schools forbade its members from physically recording the school's most advanced teachings. No matter how sincere and well-trained people may be, word of mouth will invariably result in changes to the ideas being relayed. And we can see that in myths and religions right now, where people kind of only had word of mouth after kind of all of its stuff got destroyed or whatever. A lot of fantasy stuff, fantastical, whatever. No matter how sincere and well-trained people written down, invariably, with a word substituted here and a sentence omitted there, the semantic precision needed to communicate an exact scientific principle will be lost. This is one way that a functional science can quickly degrade into an untenable superstition. As time went on, the Brotherhood became so restrictive that it excluded most of Egypt's own priests from membership. This was especially true during the reign of King Thutmose III, who ruled about 1,200 years after Cheops. Thutmose III is best known for his military adventures, which expanded the Egyptian empire to its greatest size. According to Dr. Lewis, which is one of those two, of Dr. Clymer or whatever, and Dr. Lewis, so keep in mind, Thutmose III took the final step. Took the final step of transforming the Brotherhood into a completely closed order. He established rules and regulations reportedly still used by some Brotherhood organizations today. Changes in the Brotherhood continued less than 100 years after the reign. His descendant, Thutmose III's descendant, King Akhenaten, Amenhotep IV, spent the last of his 28-year life transforming Brotherhood teachings into mystical symbols. That's cute. Akhenaten's symbols were intentionally designed to be incomprehensible to everyone except those Brotherhood members who were taught the symbols' secret meanings. The Brotherhood ostensibly created a new system of visual images to be a universal language of spiritual enlightenment, transcending human language, and to prevent misuse of knowledge. In real fact, the intention was to create a secret code designed to make spiritual knowledge unattainable to everyone except those admitted into the increasingly elite Brotherhood, and apparently to eventually obliterate spiritual knowledge altogether. I like that, though. To create symbols that Only those who know. So those who are on our side of good, if there's a battle of good and evil, then there should be symbols that only those who are on the good know of others. So they can look at that person, see what they got, whatever, and they can be like, okay, you're on my side. And they don't have to come in at the very beginning of like, who is it? What is this person's intentions? Are they going to use me? Are they trying to hurt me? Etc. Etc. So that's cool too. Food for thought, something to look forward to in the future, maybe. We'll see. Obliterate. The translation of spiritual data into bizarre and incomprehensible symbols have brought about the spectacle of honest people trying to decode garbled symbols in a quest for spiritual truths which can and should be communicated in everyday language, understandable by anyone. Which it is. If you speak right, Zoroastrians, I like what they said about having the right mind, right intentions, right everything. You have to be right, because that's how God was. That's how He is right. That's it. God is right. Therefore, you must be right in order to try and reflect God. You'll never be as good and as right as God as much as you try, but you still can be conscious of it, aware of it every day. Little good morning, how you doing? Stuff like that. Little things. So, despite the obvious sincerity of Akhenaten, we discover that the transformation of spiritual knowledge into a system into a system of obscure symbols has had a devastating impact on human society. As this manner of relaying spiritual knowledge was disseminated throughout the world by members of the Brotherhood, all knowledge of a spiritual nature became misidentified with bizarre symbols and mystery. This misidentification is so strong today that almost all studies of the spirit and spiritual phenomena are lumped into such disgraced classifications as occultism or spiritualism, which is true because I think I said earlier a good cult by Aya. So, this guy's also pretty recent too, so you kind of got it. And spiritualism, I liked what the Corpus Hermeticum said. Our soul is different from our spirit. Our spirit drives us as automatons, as robots. As our blood gets us going, but it's tied to the soul. And the soul is your conscious. It's what you talk to in your mind, and that's what the mind's eye is. It's when you close your eyes, or when you're thinking about something, or just basically whenever you are either unable, don't want to, or just don't want to physically put anything exclaimed out of your mouth. You bring back into your conscious, into your mind, whether you know it or not. It's like, I need to do this, I need to do that. It's the fight or flight. It's everything. So that's what, the soul is a part of God. And this story I like is because they said they sacrificed one of themselves, who was already created by God, because if everything is already created by God, then obviously these guys had to have been as well. And then they put clay in it, which I guess clay is like, we're clay in a way. Oh God, there it goes. There goes. I don't know. We're clay. Our minds are malleable. We're malleable as human beings from the beginning of our time on here on Earth to the very end. Well, we do cut off. We can atrophy, and we can cut off we can cut that off if we so choose to, or if we're guided to by the Druge, which is the deceit, the lies, the evil, the darkness. And Asha is the light, the pure, the good, which is what we were initially, and then tainted by other humans, not by the world, not by God, but by other human beings who just aren't aligned with God, just do not like God, do not want to be a part of what we want, I guess. They want what they want. It's become a self. If you don't believe in God and you know these are sins, what's the best way to defy God? By uplifting those sins, making those your soul, your entire personality, your entire mindset. How can I achieve these sins more? And those are demons or daemons. I like what that Corpus Hermeticum said, Daemons, the daemons. And they're in human form because humans just unfortunately are clay. And we need it to be mixed and fused with something else in order to become what we are today. Because we're beasts, we are, at the end of the day, we have our own nature, human nature, which is whale nature, squirrel nature is they go down, they pick seeds, they drop them, they're seed dispersers. We have human nature. And if we defy that human nature, if human nature can be altered and it becomes a matrix, then we have a long fight ahead of us, I would say. We either have a long fight or it becomes just like that, where it's everywhere around the world, people get it, and there's that aha moment. Sorry, I'm only going to read for the chapter and then I'm going to cut it because it's already 30 minutes in. So I'm trying to find out where I am. Keep in mind, all of what I would say today, I would say in my mind, or I would say out loud to myself. I think that's what human nature also is, just freedom and discovery and just love of life. I love that I'm able to think. I love that I'm able to freely think at any given time of anything. And I think that is God's greatest gift to us, is our free will, and free will gives us our opportunity to do literally anything you want. And some people do good with it, some people do bad. So I'd like to think I'm on the good side. So, but yeah, okay. Or at least I'm trying to be. Spiritual phenomena lumped into such disgraceful clouds of occultism, spiritualism, and witchcraft. The attempt thousands of years ago to keep spiritual knowledge out of the hands of the profane has almost, quote unquote, has almost entirely destroyed the credibility and utility of that knowledge. Brotherhood symbolism was another piece of the biblical revolving sword, blocking human access to spiritual knowledge. It has left only the confusion, ignorance, and superstition which have come to characterize so much of the field today. Akhenaten presided over another development in the Brotherhood. Although the young ruler had fared poorly as a political leader, he achieved everlasting fame for his efforts to champion the cause of monotheism, the worship of a one only God. Monotheism was a Brotherhood teaching, and many historians cite Akhenaten as the first important historical figure to broadly promulgate 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 the concept to aid in the establishment of the you don't hear that word every day. To aid in the establishment of the Brotherhood's new monotheism, Akhenaten moved the capital of Egypt to the city of El Amarna. He also relocated the main temple of the Brotherhood there. When the Egyptian capital was moved back to its original Situs, back to the Brotherhood remained in El Amarna. This signaled an important break between Egypt's established priesthood, which resisted Akhenaten's monotheism, and the highly exclusive Brotherhood, which no longer admitted most priests to membership. The ancient Egyptian empire eventually decayed and vanished. The Brotherhood of the Snake fared much better. It survived. Oh, fared much better. It survived and expanded by sending out from Egypt missionaries and conquerors. Who established Brotherhood branches and offshoots throughout the civilized world. These Brotherhood emissaries widely disseminated the Brotherhood's new one God religion and eventually made it the dominant theology throughout the world. In addition to launching one God theology, the Snake Brotherhood created many of the symbols and regalia still used by some important monotheistic religions today. For example, the Brotherhood Temple in El Amarna was constructed in the shape of a cross, a symbol later adopted by the Brotherhood's most famous offshoot, Christianity. That's a big claim. Some Brotherhood members in Egypt wore the same special outfits with a cord at the loin and a covering for the head as a later used by Christian monks. The chief priest of Egyptian temple wore the same type of broad-sleeved gown used today by clergy and choir singers. The chief priest also shaved his head in a small round spot at the top, an act later adopted by Christian friars. Many theologians hail monotheism as an important religious breakthrough. Worshipping a spiritual one only God is indeed an improvement over the idolization of stone statues and clumsy animals. Unfortunately, Brotherhood monotheism still did not represent a return to complete accuracy. It simply added new distortions to whatever spiritual knowledge still remained. Based upon what we are coming to know about the nature of the spiritual being, we find that two false twists appear to lay in the Brotherhood's definition of a supreme being. Firstly, Brotherhood monotheism, which includes Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, teach that a supreme being was the creator of the physical universe and of the physical life forms within the universe. In an upcoming chapter, we will discuss the likelihood that spiritual beings were born of a supreme being of some sort, but physical creatures and objects probably were not. As some other religions have noted, if our universe is the product of spiritual activity, then it appears that all individual spiritual beings within the universe are responsible for its creation and its perpetuation. The scope of a supreme being would actually extend far beyond the creation of a single universe. Secondly, a supreme being is usually portrayed as a spiritual being capable of possibly unlimited thought, creativity, and ability. A supreme being is said to be an entity which can make and unmake universes. The big question is this: why must we be limited to only one such being? Is there any reason not to suppose the existence of 10 such beings, or 100, or an almost infinite number? It appears that the Brotherhood definition of a one God actually describes the native potential of every spiritual being, including those spiritual beings who animate human bodies on earth. The true nature and capabilities of every spiritual being would therefore be hidden by doctrines which state that only a supreme being may enjoy pure spiritual existence and unlimited spiritual potential. True nature and capabilities would therefore be hidden by doctrine. Joy pure. Okay. That makes sense. So, what we view as God, if we have the spirit, the soul of God, and we're created in God's image, then that means we also have the power to become supreme being. So, but to us, because we're still in human form, we're still in our third dimensional reality in these bodies, what does supreme being look like to us? Now, in our mind's eye, if we think about what is a supreme being, what is infinite, what is something that can create, what does it say? Something that has unlimited thought, creativity, and ability to do anything. Unlimited. And when there's an infinite number of these things, then we have an unlimited, infinite imagination to be able to think of anything. So what is a supreme being to us? manifest what you want to be, and that is your supreme being, because that is what you will be being until your death. I don't know. Sorry, try to bring it all back together, but I think that was a miss. Anyways, others weren't though. Keep your ears out. Keep your mind open. Keep being happy. Because if you're happy and if you love your life and you love yourself, then you must love God. If you love God, then you will love everything that I just said. Enjoy spiritual existence unlimited. Brotherhood monotheism would actually hinder human spiritual recovery and prevent people from grasping the true and probably much broader scope of a supreme being, which I just talked about because I didn't even read that part yet. Brotherhood monotheism was another piece of the Bible, of the biblical revolving sword to prevent access to spiritual knowledge. It also allowed the custodians to greatly elevate their own status. As part of its new monotheism, the Brotherhood began to teach the fiction that members of the custodial race were the physical manifestations of a supreme being. In other words, custodians started pretending that they and their aircraft were the one only God. History records that they used extraordinary violence to make Homo sapiens believe the falsehood. Few lies have had as devastating an impact on human society, yet it became a prime mission on the corrupt Brotherhood. From the time of Akhenaten to the modern day, to make humans believe that the custodians and their aircraft were God. The purpose of this fiction was to enforce human obedience and to maintain... Holy shoot. Keep in mind, I don't think I'd even want to make these videos or record this right now if I hadn't thought that time is of the essence in terms of a lot of God's children have been getting killed recently. And we've been dying off, and a lot of people have just become complacent into what's going on, and we kind of have to, because we don't have any power in the sense, just like how these custodians apparently did vicious harm to Homo sapiens, humans, us, very vicious, cruel ways that basically forced us to believe this one God thing. So, yeah. Custodial control over the custodial control over the human population. In no case is this clear or the results more visibly tragic than in the biblical story of the ancient Hebrews and their one God named Jehovah. Page 72, William Bramley. The Gods of Eden. Chapter 6. The chilling truth about extraterrestrial infiltration and the conspiracy to keep humankind in chains. So far, I love this story. It feels like the first time watching Dune, the first time watching Star Wars, the first time watching Game of Thrones, first time watching Lord of the Rings. I love lore, and I love fantasy. And I also love putting two and two together and finding the symbolism within words and books and people when they speak and when they share their own self of what they truly mean. Reading between the lines and knowing if there's a higher power and if there's a higher purpose to all of us, then there are higher ways of communicating than what we know of today. And one of the last things the Divine Corpus Hermeticum said was that our greatest powers as humans was our mouths, and to be able to speak and be able to translate what our minds, what the next thing is our minds, and how we're able to think. So those two things and free will, those are the main things, main core things that God had made for us. And I hope in the coming months, in the coming years, I'll be able to share more than just chapters of books I enjoy reading and stories, and hopefully we can create a better world together. How, you might ask? Only God knows at the end of the day, but I do think we will prevail, we will win, and we will love life, and we will love God, most importantly, for giving us this life that we know today. Thank you very much. My name is Richard Torres, and 28 years old, and I have big dreams and big ambitions and a big love for God. I discovered my love 3 years ago when I was 25. I guess, in order to strive for decentralized, transparent knowledge and truth to the world, I think it's best to just be yourself 100% of the time, all the time. And the way you don't have to fake a facade or become something you're not is just loving your life. And how do you love your life is doing stuff you love and making sure you ensure that happiness and love within and within yourself. Because unfortunately, this has been thousands of years in the making. Druge has been around for this long. It's been hidden for a long time. We lose a lot of good people every year, every decade. A lot of great thinkers, a lot of great comets of light that just come out soaring like a rocket. And they're just blazing. And they're powerful. And they develop followers and leadership skills very quickly on in life. And which people like myself who pretty late in life, for the first, in terms of coming out on an online persona presence, aspire, and they inspire us as people. I like to be known as a lurker. I like to just scroll through all the internet, through all the world, and not make a sound, and just absorb as much as I can in terms of experience and knowledge that I find helps me as a human being in order to get good with God and to ensure that if I were to die tomorrow, that I would know where I'm going and I would be happy with how far I've gone. And making this video is one of those milestones for me in terms of sharing something. So thank you very much if you're watching. Thank you very much if you're listening. And I hope, we all can unite together one day. Sorry, I guess I'm just ranting now. But thank you very much. And God bless you all. And if there's one thing to believe, let's believe in God. Thank you.